of justice, in the name of truth, in the name of love, in the name of the Father.
So In the Name of the Father stars Daniel Day-Lewis, Emma Thompson, Pete Postlethwaite. It was co-written and directed by Jim Sheridan, who directed My Left Foot, which was the movie that Daniel Day-Lewis won his first Academy Award with. In a year where you had so many good award contenders in 1993, this movie kind of went under the radar, and honestly, it's really one of those underrated movies that a lot of people don't really talk about all that much, but it's probably one of the best performances Daniel Day-Lewis has ever given. This is a really good movie. A really well-made story, a really good, engaging story, a great mystery, and how these four people got accused of being the people who were convicted of this bombing that happened in 1974, and just the way the corruption takes place. That these people, that were accusing these people, knew that they weren't the people, but they went ahead and did what they did anyway. And it's just like, it just hurts you so much to watch these people who are innocent and have no connection to this whatsoever be tortured like this and being put through all this misery. And it's a really good story. It's a really good, enjoyable film. The performances overall are great. You really get invested in the storyline. You get so sucked into the story. It's tough to watch at times, but it's such a well-made movie. It's a really good, very well-made film. Kind of underrated, really. But I know Daniel Day-Lewis, everyone talks about him as one of the greatest actor of all time. I don't think that's quite the case. I would argue that, Denzel Washington, to me, is the greatest actor we have working right now. But Daniel Day-Lewis is very well up there. He has made some great movies, and this is definitely one of those ones that not a lot of people really talk about, but I think it's definitely one of his more underrated performances. It's a movie that I think is really well done. Great film overall. Can't argue with that. In the Name of the Father. So that's that one. Now let's move on to the next movie, and that is Shadowlands.
Another dispatch from Mrs. Gresham. Her letters are rather unusual. She writes as if she knows me somehow. Still, I suppose there is something of me in my books, isn't there?
Anybody here called Lewis?
She was a stranger to his world.
But you don't look at all like C.S. Lewis.
An outsider.
I imagine assuming you're from the United States of America.
Yes, I am.
In his circle.
Or she's just a friend, a writer. Well, Jack, you have succeeded in surprising me.
So what do you do here?
Teach mainly.
What do they do? Sit at your feet and gaze up at you and all?
You don't give up, do you? Now, I regard the soul as an essentially feminine accessory. Where men have intellect, women have soul.
So basically the story is that Anthony Hopkins plays C.S. Lewis, the author of the Chronicles of Narnia, and also he falls in love with this woman played by Deborah Winger, who's Joy Davidman. And the story centers around their relationship, her death with cancer, and how this challenges his Christianity overall. Directed by Richard Attenborough, written by William Nicholson, who actually made this into a TV movie. This is actually how it started, and it eventually became a stage play, and then they eventually remade it into a movie. I really don't know too much about this movie. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it too much, but it definitely looks like it could be pretty good. It could be a movie that could be very interesting. Just an overall great actors all around, great director. Who knows? Honestly, I really don't doubt that this is not one of the best movies that came out in '93. I just never saw it, so that's pretty much all I got to say about this one. So now let's move on to the first weekend of 1994, and this is usually when the dumping ground comes into play. And first movie is definitely that. Kevin Bacon in The Air up there.
Pictures, Coach Jimmy Dolan traveled to Africa to discover the next basketball superstar.
Kid's got the hang time of a hot air balloon.
Like, hey, Jordan.
What he found
We play basketball game. We bet all our land.
is a tribe who needed his help.
You will be our coach.
Together, they're about to play the game of their lives. Kevin Bacon.
He's goosing her!
Come on!
The Air Up There, rated PG.
Really, we've seen this done so much better. Disney themselves even put out a movie that was pretty much similar to this with Cool Runnings, except this one's about basketball. That one was about bobsled riding with Jamaicans. And it just wasn't really all that funny. It's a movie that just really feels like it's a story that's been done to death. It doesn't have anything that really pushes it to another level. It doesn't even have that nostalgic factor. Like, I've seen sports comedies that are not very good on most cases that I love anyway. Like, we'll get to one later on in the year with Little Giants, but yeah, this movie just really didn't do it for me, and I don't think it really did it for a lot of people. I think the biggest problem with it is that the basketball player in general that Kevin Bacon finds, there's nothing really all that exciting about him. There's no real charisma with him. He's not really all that funny. He's not even that great of an actor. He's just a guy that looks like a tall basketball player. I mean, that's really all the main joke of the movie. And even the poster, like, it's just him, this tall guy, standing in front of a small Kevin Bacon. I mean, there's just nothing really all that engaging or exciting about this movie whatsoever, and it was largely forgotten, and you could probably see why. It's also directed by the same guy that did Kazam, so why would I think that this would do any better? Actually, was this directed by the guy who did... Yeah, this was the guy who directed Kazam. Like, it's hard to believe that this guy also did great movies like The Running Man and The Cutting Edge, and then his career ends with two really lackluster movies, and the last movie ended up being one of the worst movies ever made. But we will get to Kazam later on in '96. But so that's the air up there. Let's move on to the next movie, and the next movie is Cabin Boy, starring Chris Elliott.
Touchstone Pictures presents.
Here's how a harem girl dances.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Whatever that was.
The motion picture that's so big,
So what?
so charming,
I'm at my wit's end. I can't take it.
so manly. It's sure to be a classic for all generations.
Perhaps you've been like the drunk and abusive grandfather I never had.
Cabin Boy.
It'll come in.
It's the story of a boy and his love affair with the sea.
This moron got on the wrong boat.
Now he's getting a taste of the sailor's life.
Is it true it's unsafe to drink seawater?
That's a new one to me.
It's the most amazing journey ever.
Okay, moron, you go stand in the bow and let us know when we're coming close to ice.
Okay, you hit one.
He never dreamed where the winds of fortune would blow him. Where the spirit of adventure would hurl him. Or where the hands of fate
Come on over here, honey.
would grab him.
These pipes are clean.
Touchstone Pictures presents
What happened to you?
Well, let's just say I finally shed my feminine side.
Chris Elliott,
So this is what you guys do for fun? Humiliate an imbecile?
Cabin Boy.
You couldn't be cuter.
Hey, would you like to buy a monkey?
Why does this movie not get more love than it does? Because, Mother of God, this movie is hilariously good. Wow, I saw this movie years ago. I really wasn't expecting a whole lot from it, but I like Chris Elliott. I like that it's produced by Tim Burton, and Andy Richter's also in it as well, and really, it's one of the funniest movies I have ever seen. Like, I'm amazed that they got a PG rating out of this, because holy crap, there is stuff in here that... then again, it's 90s PG. That's the good kind of PG, not the PG of today, where it's just like, if you say anything risque, it's getting a PG rating regardless. But man, this movie was a ton of fun, man. I love how invented this is. I love how silly it gets. I love how over the top it gets. That usage of animation that they use in here. I wouldn't be surprised if Henry Selick, the Nightmare Before Christmas director, actually did the stuff for this movie, but man, this is a funny movie, a really underrated gem. It's just visually pleasing to look at, some really funny lines. David Letterman makes one of the rare sweet film appearances in his career. Like, he never really... I think this is the only movie where he actually plays a character. And, like I said, it's just hilarious. It's so inventive. It's so creatively ridiculous. It's just a ton of fun all around. I love this movie to death. I really want to get a physical copy of this because, man, I love this movie a lot. Like, I really think this movie was made well ahead of its time. It's one of those movies that really has grown in appreciation for me. Because when I remember seeing the trailers for this when I was little, and I thought to myself, I thought to myself that this didn't look all that good. But man, almost 30 years later, it's one of the most underrated comedies I've ever seen. If you haven't seen Cabin Boy, if you love some good, fun, silly, over-the-top comedy, this movie is definitely going to be the perfect for you. Just go check it out. You're doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so.
First it was just for fun, then it was for education. Now they're getting serious.
Bachelor party, that's right.
I hear you're getting married. Too bad.
Oh, no. He's not married yet.
I guess it goes down like that with those gold-digging hoochie mama gut bucket skeezers you attract.
Well, I miss your father. Damn, I wish he was here. Me too, Uncle Vesta. Besides, he owe me $150. It's all we want. Some chicken wings, hot dogs, and a case of 40s. You got that?
First of all, you need to go gargle. Funky.
Man, my name is Stinky. Stinky, all right?
Stinky, funky, smell hella bad. It's all the same.
What is your line of business?
Unemployment line.
Ooh, now I got to cut you. That's the rule. Cut you. Cut you. You better hurry up, get over here. People are gonna party to everybody and their mama here, including the law. I ain't scared of you. I ain't riding the king. I'll get one of you.
House Party 3.
Yeah, this is another one of those comedies that became a trilogy that honestly really did not need to become a trilogy or a continuing series of movies like the Police Academy movies or the Hangover movies. The first House Party was a great movie. After that, each one got worse and worse, and this is indeed the worst of the series. It's a movie that, I don't know, I just don't feel like the magic was there this time around, even though you have Kid and Play there. I don't know, I don't know if their stick got really old, or it's just because the fact that most of the people that made the first movie great were for the most part no longer there. You just still didn't have Reginald Hudlin there. You didn't have the right scriptwriters there. The director of this is not the same guy from the previous movies. It just wasn't there. The magic just wasn't there anymore. Even though I will admit some of Bernie Mac's lines in this movie are legitimately funny, but it's Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac is usually very funny. Pretty decent cast overall. TLC is in this movie. Gilbert Gottfried's in here. Chris Tucker, this is his first film that he ever starred in. Marcus Houston, Candy Alexander, Tisha Campbell with a special appearance, as the credits say, which, I mean, they had her as one of the marquee stars in the trailer itself, and then you get to the end credit. The credits is just like, special appearance by Tisha Campbell. Like, which one is it? Like, it doesn't make any sense, but, I don't know what it is. Like, I think the first House Party worked because it worked for the time period. Like, by 1994, Kid and Play were not as successful as they were back at the start of the decade, and their stick kind of got old pretty quickly. I don't know. It's just really tough to say. It's just like this was one of the last things that they did together. So, like I said, yeah, their stick kind of got old, but their thing got kind of old pretty quickly. And they couldn't really last too much longer after this, so they had to go on and do their own separate things, and it turned out better for them. But with this movie in particular, it just really felt like they were trying to go deep into the hole one last time, and they didn't have the right material, the right humor, the right quality overall. It's just a movie that's really, it just didn't work. It just wasn't a movie that wasn't really all that good. It was a movie that's pretty forgettable, and it just goes to show you that the first House Party was such a special movie that worked so well that the sequels really couldn't live up to that same hype as the first movie, especially without the same people that made the first movie so great. And as of the time of recording this, we're getting a House Party reboot produced by LeBron James that comes out next month. Which, I mean, there's a chance that it could be better than the sequels, but those trailers were not looking too promising. So, who knows? But that's pretty much all I got to say about that one. House Party 2. Moving on to the next movie, and that is Iron Will.
If you want something real bad, you've got to go out where you can find it and grab it.
I want to feel alive. I want to feel like Dad's alive. He was going to do this for me. Now let me do it for him.
We are here about a race.
A boy thrust into manhood.
Let them race. You won't last through the first day.
I'll last as long as any man here, including you, mister.
522 miles.
This is the meanest stretch of land that God ever put together.
$10,000, Will. You don't have to die for it.
I'll wager $5,000 he doesn't make heartbreak hell.
You've got one chance. You must run at night when the others have stopped. You ever had frostbite? You will. Your fingers and toes. They're gonna look like this. I'm not quitting.
A challenge as deadly as nature's fury and man's greed.
What's the matter, kid? Scared?
A will as strong as iron.
The kid's in the lead.
Whole country's rooting for you.
Iron Will Stone. Boy, it's the heart of a bear.
Natural, stubborn.
You tried to kill my dog!
In the classic tradition of Walt Disney Adventures comes the incredible story of a boy who faced his fears
Come near me or my team again, I'll kill you outright.
and rallied a nation
It's done. It's not possible.
to believe
Attaboy, we'll give him something to talk about back home.
in a dream. Iron Will.
I mean, usually when it comes to movies like this, Disney usually does a pretty good job of creating a great escapist, not even escapist, a great adventure film set in the snow. I mean, they did it so well with White Fang. They've done it recently with other movies like Togo, which is great on Disney+. And I'm one of the few people that really like The Call of the Wild, the one that with Harrison Ford in it. But, I don't know. This movie in particular, I don't think really has that same magic to it. I mean, it's a good concept. You have this kid who's in this cross-country dog race in the early 1900s, and you have all these people. You have these people trying to come after them, dogs that can't really work with this kid, and then the extreme weather they had to go through this point. I mean, usually stuff like this would make for a pretty good adventure movie. These sled movies, I'm beginning to see that these dog sled movies really have become more enjoyable. Like stuff that I've talked about, stuff like Togo, stuff like even something like Balto, which we'll get into when we get to the next year in '95. But yeah, this movie just didn't really seem to have that same spark. I mean, it's not a bad looking movie. It does look visually nice at times, but it just doesn't have that same feel or same greatness of something like White Fang or something like the movies I mentioned, Togo and Call of the Wild, or even Balto. But I mean, it's not a bad movie overall. I just feel like it's one where you watch it once, it's not too bad, but you have no desire to ever watch it again after that. So that's pretty much my thinking on this movie. So that's Iron Will. On to the next movie, which I think I called it The Farce of Death in the previous episode, but this is not that movie. This is Death Wish, The Face of Death. The Face of Death, with Charles Bronson again.
In the world of glamour and high fashion, a new crime syndicate is taking over. Peekaboo.
I watched this guy coming up through the Irish gangs, and he's ruthless.
He's infiltrated every aspect of my business.
Their methods are brutal.
Promise me if anything should happen to me, he'll take care of Chelsea.
Gone. The one thing they didn't count on was an enemy who wouldn't back down.
You know, these people, they steal, they murder, destroy people's lives, and get away with it. Kersey's no amateur. You've got a problem.
Charles Bronson is back.
I'm coming for you, O'Shea.
And this time, he's not leaving until his wish is their command.
No judge, no jury, no appeal, and no deals. But the cop
Let's take these guys down. Sometimes the law works. And sometimes it doesn't. It's showtime.
History.
Where's the girl? Charles Bronson. Guns make you nervous? Death Wish.
Yeah, another one of those movies where it's a late sequel in the series. There's no real effort put into it, and they basically made this movie because if you stick the name Death Wish on there, they think people are going to see it, and nobody saw it, and you could definitely see why. Like, it's a movie that's so bad that even Charles Bronson himself looked at this and said, yeah, I got to get out of these movies, man. It's just like, the movie was... It's just another Death Wish movie, and not a good Death Wish movie. It's another generic Death Wish sequel where nothing really... It's the same movie over and over again. It's the same movie over and over again. It's just like what I just said, the same movie over and over again. Take a drink every time I say it. But, yeah, there's just nothing different about this movie than the other sequels. At least the first two Death Wish movies were still good movies. But everything after that, Death Wish 3, Death Wish 4... and this movie, and even some of the movies that don't have the Death Wish name on it that Charles Bronson was in, they were all pretty much Death Wish knockoffs, and it's gotten to the point where this series itself is essentially a knockoff movie. Like, there's no real reason to keep making these movies, and thankfully this was the last one, although they would have attempts to try to to do the series again in different forms, like Kevin Bacon did Death Sentence, which was directed by James Wan, which was based on the story, which the book by Brian Garfield, which eventually was the inspiration for the sequel to Death Wish. And then we got the remake of Death Wish itself, done by Bruce Willis and Eli Roth, which was better than the sequel, most of the sequels, but nothing really stands out about it. It makes me want to see it again. It's just like, it's there, so, I mean, honestly, it's just not a good movie. Like, everything after the second Death Wish movie, you could pretty much just skip over, because honestly, it's just the same movie over and over again, and it gets worse and worse and worse with every single film. Like, the trailer's not even... If the trailer doesn't even have the will to say the title of this movie, the full title, and just say Death Wish, like, you know they're just struggling to find something there, so... That's Death Wish, The Face of Death. So, on to the next movie, and that is Where the Rivers Flow North.
I've got a lifetime lease. I'm staying on my line.
Drink on, man. Can't you see we're trying to help you?
How does one man help another by flooding his land and ending his livelihood?
Where courage lives and the frontier endures, there is rugged beauty.
We'll increase our offer to $3,000.
What else?
The way to beat a man in a horse trade is not to let him know that you got to have, but he don't yet know you want.
So the premise of this movie is that it takes place in 1927 in Kingdom County, Vermont, where a large dam is to be built. However, Noah Lord, a logger and a Cedar Oil harvester, won't give up his lifetime lease on the land that will be flooded. The dam company increases its offer of cash, but Noah refuses. He asks for a trade, a stand of pines for his lease. The company doesn't want it, but offers to make roll on Noah a ranger in his new park. Noah talks to his Indian mate, the Spirit Bangor, after they're moving to Oregon and buying a sawmill. She wants him to take the company's money, but he's pig-headed. Is Noel headed for confrontation with the company and the law, or can Bangor prevail to effect a truce? Which, judging by what I've just said, you can pretty much tell that I'm just reading off the synopsis for this movie, because I've never seen this movie, and I've really literally know nothing about it, so I really can't tell you if this is any good. But honestly, just by the looks of that trailer and that premise alone, it kind of reminded me of that terrible Greg Kinnear movie, Flash of Genius, about the guy who created the intimate windshield wiper and wanted Ford, and tried to sue Ford for it, but they kept trying to get these deals for him. These plea deals, like they'll give him $10 million if they drop the case, and he's just like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's just like, and he loses his family and all that, and when he wins that case, he earns less money than Ford was offering to him. But it feels like the same kind of movie here, and the story at least sounds a little bit better than that, because Rip Torn in this movie I don't think is stupid enough to be on the same level as Greg Kinnear and Flash of Genius. And, you know, Rip Torn, this looks like a role that was completely different for him. I'd never seen him in a role like this before. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it could be something here. You also have Michael J. Fox in here. Treat Williams is also in here. It's got a decent cast to it. It's just a movie I've never even heard of until now, and that usually doesn't mean it's a good sign, or maybe it could be an underrated gem that nobody really ever talks about. But that's pretty much all I got for you on this one, Where the River Flows North. So, on to the last movie, and that is the remake of Body Snatchers.
There's something in the air, and it feels like fear. There's something in the night, and it seems like terror. There's someone in your bed, and it looks like you.
Mommy?
Life will be simpler now. The only thing missing
Mommy?
will be you.
Mommy?
What's the matter, honey? What's the matter?
There's Mommy. She's right there. What happened?
I've seen people at the infirmary exhibiting paranoia. People afraid to sleep.
Get in bed.
Afraid of family members.
Let it go!
People afraid of themselves.
We gotta go right now!
Oh, Marty, let's get out of here.
They're out there. They're everywhere.
It's not like that!
We're gonna get out of here, Marty.
Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna run? Where are you gonna hide? Nowhere. 'Cause there's no one like you left.
Body Snatchers. The invasion continues. They'd kill to be you.
Talk about ending the show on yet another underrated gem. We talked about Cabin Boy in the last episode, and now we have this remake of Body Snatchers, directed by Abel Ferrara, who also did Bad Lieutenant, and we recently looked at one of his other movies, which was Dangerous Game, which ended up being one of the worst movies of '93. But you know what? This is a pretty damn good adaptation of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We've already had two film adaptations, the 50s classic and, of course, the 78 classic film. Both classics on their own rights, with memorable moments that just still are just terrifying even to this day. And this movie still has some legitimately good scares to it. Like, there are scenes in this movie that really did make me jump at times. And I'm usually aware of horror movie jump scares, honestly, but man, some of the scenes in this movie really are just downright terrifying. And Meg Tilly in this movie, man, is she terrifying in this. That monologue she gives in the trailer is just like, there's just something creepy about it. This just gets me every single time. And it's just like, it's a really good remake. It's a really good remake that takes chances. It modernizes the story. The special effects are done very well. Yeah, the premise is very much a similar premise to the original two movies, but you know what? It works. It's got a great cast overall, a great grisly, dark feel to it. And for Abel Ferrara, who directed Bad Lieutenant, this is a good step for him in the right direction to take on other projects at different genres, and he makes it work very well. And it's, like I said, it's a legitimately terrifying movie. Like, it's a movie that I look at and I'm just like, ugh. Like, it still gets me after all these years, and it is very underrated. It is a very underrated movie, and if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, because you might be surprised by how much you really enjoy this. It's a really good remake, and you know what? It kicks the crap out of that 2000s remake with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig. That was a mess all around, but yeah, this movie is legitimately good. So, Body Snatchers, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out.
You must have known something was going on. I thought you were working late.
Perfect house for the perfect couple.
She touched me.
Tell you a secret. Wasn't so perfect. What happened with us?
You fell in love with another woman.
I mean, before that.
You don't live with her anymore, but your car still does. Is that it? What else do you leave there? A toothbrush?
My daughter. They had a family. We were a corporation with a kid.
Dad?
Yeah.
Will you come to the island with me for Easter?
You got a daughter in the house. You got Sally in the office. You got the girlfriend somewhere else.
I can't leave you. You had me. You don't have history. You don't have a history. You can make one. I say, are you in love with her? And then you say, well, I don't know. I'm so confused. I need a little time. Megan, I'm not trying to replace anybody. I just want to make your father happy. We give it a shot?
Haley, if you just felt this a little more upset, it wouldn't have happened.
You want a dream house. You and me, one end, and then at the other end there's Sally and Megan. Still have that hotel room? Hotel rooms could be nice. For past, for future.
I don't want to lose you. I can't lose you. I want to be with you. What are you going to do? Do it.
I'm sorry, but who the hell calls their family a corporation with a kid? Like, how much of a jackass do you have to be? And you really expect us to sympathize with you when you're in the situation that you put yourself into. It's just like, it's just one of the many, many reasons why this movie is such a disaster, because it is a terrible, terrible movie. It's just a movie that's just, it's just not interesting whatsoever. The thriller aspect is not there. This mystery about, oh, who was Vincent's true love? It's just like, well, considering that the fact that you have one kid with the one person that you're in love with, and you feel like that's not enough for you, you have to go find somebody else and have an affair with them. I'm sorry, dude. There's no sympathizing with you. You're just a complete asshole. And it's just, this whole idea makes no sense whatsoever. There's no engaging mystery to it. There's no engaging aspects to it. These people deserve a much better movie than this. Richard Gere, Sharon Stone, Lolita Davidovich, Martin Landau, Jennifer Morrison in one of her early film roles, playing the daughter in this. They all deserve a much better movie than this, and it's just not a good movie at all, because you really do not like any of these people at all. They are all horrible people. Even the person that you think that you're supposed to sympathize with, they're horrible in their own ways that this movie completely spells out for you. And they don't care, because you're sitting down in the seat watching this movie and Paramount's got your money for it. So it's just not a good movie. It's a movie that is the definition of a dump movie, because I'm sure there were some high aspirations for this, but of course Paramount saw it and said, nobody is going to go see this movie, so we're just going to throw it into January, because nobody's going to be stupid enough to see this movie. Well, I guess that's not kind of true, because it did make its money back, but it wasn't a huge hit, because nobody's putting out anything in early January except for shitty movies. So yeah, so we're starting 1994 off on a high note with that one. So that's Intersection. So let's go ahead and end this on a higher note. Let's go ahead and move on to one of the best movies from 1993 that actually came out this weekend, and that is Robert Altman's anthology called Shortcuts.
You know what kind of work I do, right? Look at me. You know it's dangerous. And you know there's things you can't know for your own safety, right?
I was just asking about dinner.
From the director of The Player.
Oh, but wait, make me beg for it. Oh, please, harder. Oh, I'm gonna come. Oh. Did you get JoJo his eardrops?
Robert Altman brings us his visionary new film based on the writings of Raymond Carver, starring an ensemble cast of outstanding actors. Shortcuts raises the roof on America.
The hell with love.
Let me get off.
Wait an hour.
Shortcuts, a Robert Altman film.
It's practically totally real, but not.
So essentially, you have 9 short stories based off of the works of Raymond Carver. You can see in that trailer, there's a lot of really talented people that you are very familiar with. Matthew Modine, Julianne Moore, Fred Ward, Ann Archer, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Robert Downey Jr., Madeline Stowe, Chris Penn, Jack Lemmon, Frances McDormand, Laurie Singer, Andy McDowell, Buck Henry, Lily Tomlin, Annie Ross, Huey Lewis, Lyle Lovett, Tom Waits. Just this phenomenal cast that's involved in this movie. And it was coming after Robert Altman made probably one of his best movies from this time period, and that was the Player, which was a phenomenal movie. And this is pretty good too. You really do get invested in all of these stories that are taking place within the confines of the city. It kind of reminded me a lot of Grand Canyon from a couple years ago, a very underrated movie. And I think this one's kind of underrated too. I don't think it gets as much attention as some of the other movies that came out in '93, but it was a really solid film, and it was definitely one of the highlights of the year. They actually were going to do a sequel for this, but they eventually decided not to. And this writer who would write the sequel would later go on to direct a couple of other Altman movies, including Cookie's Fortune and Dr. T and the Women. And another interesting thing about this one is that he kind of went on a lull after this. There wasn't really a great Robert Altman movie from him after this until Gosford Park, which came out 8 years later. Actually, 7 years later, 1994, 2001. Yeah, 7 years later. So, it's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, you're really missing out on one of Altman's best movies, honestly. Definitely check it out. Shortcuts, fantastic film.
We have a donor. I pulled a few strings at the eye bank.
Yeehaw!
Don't expect too much at first. I'm going to open your lids.
What's the first thing I'm going to see?
Humans reach visual maturity at age 9. Emma was blinded at 8. We just don't know what you'll see.
Mr. Cocchetto?
It's all right. Go back to bed.
She's dead, right?
Is there anything else you can tell me about Valerie Wheaton?
She was a noisy lover.
Did she have a boyfriend that you know?
I could hear him.
You got a name on him? You know his name?
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. So your eyes are having a delayed reaction to reality.
I guess you could say that.
So what is that? Your eyes are driving the train and your brain's the caboose that hasn't caught up yet?
I'm just beginning to think this guy's a figment of her imagination.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she's the key.
You're good at your job.
My job is the only thing I am good at.
Well, I doubt that. I can't see things that are right in front of me, and I can see things that couldn't be there.
You identified a copper as the murderer.
Can she see or not? You think I imagined it? You think I made him up?
I have one or two minor things on my mind, not the least of which is finding this killer before he finds you.
That's a great trailer, by the way. I mean, it just gets you so psyched about what you're about to see. This movie about this woman who, she's been blind for so many years, and she finally gets these new eyes that allow her to see. And one of the first things that she ends up seeing is a killing, and now the killer is after her. And it's a good concept. It's a good concept, a good story. Great direction by Michael Apted, who also, we talked about his movies before. We talked about Class Action, a very underrated thriller of his. We also looked at Thunderheart and also the Up series. He's been a really good director, and I think he has a really good eye for this type of a movie. It works really well. I will say, though, it's not quite as perfect as that trailer makes it out to be. It is kind of a little too formulaic, but you know what? The trailer does definitely deliver what the movie gives you. I mean, Madeline Stowe gives a great performance in here playing Emma Brody, the woman who's the centerpiece of this. Aidan Quinn has a good role in here, so does James Romero from The Warriors. And it's just a really good movie. It's a really solid film. The way the camera work uses her abilities, these new abilities that she has with these and these things that she thinks that she sees, but they're not really there. It's just an interesting concept here, and you got to give a lot of credit to Dante Spinotti, the cinematographer for this, who does a very good job here with this particular setup. Spinotti, of course, is best known for his cinematography work with films like L.A. Confidential, The Insider. He's done many Michael Apted movies. He's done a couple of superhero movies, X-Men: The Last Stand, Hercules with Dwayne Johnson, and most recently Ant-Man and the Wasp. And he does a very good job with the cinematography in this particular film. And like I said before, it's just a really cool-looking film. It's a very stylistic-looking thriller. And it's one that's kind of a little bit underrated. I don't think a lot of people really know about this movie all too much, but I think it definitely does deliver. Some elements are a little bit too, like I said, a little bit too predictable. Like, you can kind of tell what the kind of setup this is going to end up being. And, but other than that, though, I think it does a pretty good job for this type of a story. And I think it does very well at its job. And also of note here, Dana Stevens, the screenwriter for this was actually her first movie. You may know that name of recent works such as The Woman King, which is supposedly going to be a big Oscar contender at the time of this posting, which is on December 15th, 2022. I still haven't seen that movie yet, but I really do want to, though. But this was the first movie she ever wrote, so yeah. So I don't know. I thought I brought Tory Boat. I thought I'd bring that up. So. Like I said, Blink is actually a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's a very cool-looking thriller, and another great underrated film from Michael Apted, a really good director. So, that's Blink. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is Car 54, Where Are You?
Not running away from my duty. I'm running away from you. Wherever you go, then that's the follow. Oh, my God!
2 men on a mission. Officer 2. Officer Muldoon.
We have the lowest reported crime rate in the whole city. Of course you do. You don't report any of it.
They can outrun any killer.
They're getting away.
They can protect any witness.
Oh, there's no time for a nap. Come on, get up. We gotta get out of here.
And what they lack in good instinct.
Hey, help! Police! Police, help!
Right there.
They make up for with good intentions.
You've got a big booger right here.
From the people who didn't bring you lethal weapons comes a story so daring.
Yeah, you want even bigger? We got bigger. Here it is, the M60. You can do forestry with this Rambo, baby.
A story so romantic.
I brought you some flowers.
What more could a man ask for?
A story so powerful. You'd better bring protection.
Does anybody have a mailbox?
David Johansen, John McGinley, Fran Drescher, Nipsey Russell, Rosie O'Donnell, Daniel Baldwin, Jeremy Piven, Tone Loc, the Ramones, and Al Lewis. Car 54, Where Are You?
What's wrong?
Cop groupies.
Cop groupies.
Yes, cop groupies today on Geraldo. I saw the whole thing.
You gotta love how you can tell a movie looks like it's made in 1993 or 1994, even though it was clearly made back in 1990. Yeah, this was another one of those movies where it came from Orion Pictures, and Orion Pictures at this time was going through bankruptcy, and a lot of the movies that they had filmed and already ready to go were sitting on a shelf for the longest time. And this is one of those movies. This is a movie that's been sitting on a shelf for 4 years, and then it finally gets dumped out in January. And really, like I said before, if you didn't know that this was made in 1990, you really couldn't tell that this was actually made in 1993 for a 1994 release, because you have David Johansen, you've got John C. McGinley, Fran Drescher, Rosie O'Donnell, Jeremy Piven, Tone Loc, Penn and Teller in here, Daniel Baldwin, Nipsey Russell, Al Lewis, names that were still making work at the time, but honestly, you'd really have to look very closely to see whether or not it was 1990 or 1994, because honestly, you couldn't really tell from that trailer alone. But yeah, when you actually see the movie, you could pretty much tell what this movie was, that this movie was made back in the early 90s, and it was actually made as a musical comedy, but they ended up releasing the film without the musical interludes, so they took all that stuff out and they made an adaptation of a TV series that I had never even seen, that even if I had never seen it, I really wouldn't have enjoyed this movie, because I really didn't enjoy this movie. This was not a good movie on any level. It just wasn't funny. It just wasn't very funny. It felt like a movie that they were trying to just stick stuff to the wall and see what works or not. But short answer is, none of it really worked. It's a shame, because David Johansen and John C. McGinley can be very good when they're on screen, but the chemistry just isn't there. I think if they had a better script to work with, then maybe it could work that way, but not with this type of a movie that's been sitting on the shelf for as long as it has. It definitely shows why in the final cut of the film, and it's a shame, too, because there's great talent involved here, just not a very good script to work with in the end, so... Anyway, that's Car 54, Where Are You? So let's move on to the next movie, and that is John Madden's Golden Gate.
Que se convirtió en una mujer.
So yeah, as you could probably tell from the fact that it's just the title, I really couldn't find a whole lot of footage in terms of trailers or commercials for this. And it's probably a good thing, because I've never seen this movie. I didn't even know that John Madden did this movie. And so I can't really go into it too much. But I will just talk about the plot. Basically set in San Francisco, it tells the story of a 1950s G-man played by Matt Dillon, who ends up in the FBI's communist prosecutions, which leads him to become involved with a young Chinese-American woman played by Joan Chen, whose father he helped put in prison. You also have Bruno Kirby and Z Ma in here. And like I said before, it's directed by John Madden, who also would later become known to direct films such as Shakespeare in Love and Captain Corelli's Mandolin. But this is another one of those early movies where it really didn't work. It really was just a forgettable movie. And it was mostly panned by critics back then. At least that's what I've been hearing, I should say. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie. But, yeah, considering the fact that I never even heard about this movie until now, that should pretty much tell you everything you need to know about this particular movie. So, that's Golden Gate. Now let's move on to our last movie here. A movie you should know about. Nicolas Cage, Laura Flynn Boyle, and Dennis Hopper in Red Rock West.
What kind of work do you look for?
I was hoping to get on a drilling crew.
Why don't you try Red Rock? Maybe somebody there can head you in the right direction.
I thought you were supposed to be here last Friday. You are here for the job, aren't you? And you're Lyle from Dallas, right?
Right.
There's the 5, like we agreed. Just to go out to the house, break in. When she comes in, you know what to do.
Your name's Suzanne? I don't know how to tell you this, but your husband, Wayne, he plans to have you murdered.
You know, I never did catch your name.
Michael.
Lyle from Dallas.
Super
What should I do?
If I were you, I'd get a divorce.
Marriage is just a state of mind.
Not in Texas.
We're not in Texas.
You can't let them get away. Just find her.
It's all about money. And like they don't make me shoot you.
Nicolas Cage of Honeymoon in Vegas and Moonstruck, Lara Flynn Boyle of The Temp and Wayne's World, and Dennis Hopper of Boiling Point and Blue Velvet.
Does this mean that we ain't partners?
Red Rock West.
Red Rock West. Red Rock West. I swear I did this yesterday. Like, this title should not be that hard to say, but I don't know why, but I keep always saying it the wrong way. Let me try one more time. Red Rock West. Okay. So anyway, Red Rock West. A very underrated movie that I don't think a lot of people really talked about. Mostly because I don't think the studio who put this out really knew if it was going to be any good or not. Because the test screenings for this were not strong. And the studio who put this out, Polygram Pictures, they were about to sell this movie off to HBO as an HBO original movie. And actually showed it several times on HBO in the early 90s, and it actually got submitted to the Sundance Film Festival, and kept making the rounds to various festivals, including select theater screenings in Germany, Paris, London. The Toronto Film Festival picked it up, and they finally opened the movie up in theaters, and it didn't, and not a whole lot of people really saw it. It was only shown in, like, small theaters in LA and New York, but once the movie went to VHS, this slowly but surely growing audience was really coming around to it, and I found out about it very much later on, and I gotta say, it is a really good movie. It's a really solid thriller with Nicolas Cage, Laura Flynn Boyle. They're working off of each other really well. You got Dennis Hopper in there, and usually Dennis Hopper will never really turn in a really bad performance, except for something like Super Mario Brothers. But that's more than that's the exception rather than the rule. But it is a really good movie. It's a movie that does a very good job of making you think it's a Western, making you think it's Western, a thriller or a Western, I should say, making you think it's a thriller, making you think it's a Western. Could be seen as kind of a black comedy, could be seen as a film noir, could be seen as this dark, gritty ride, could be something that's kind of lighthearted. It really keeps you on the edge of your seat as you're watching the movie, and you get so invested in these characters that you really have no idea what's going to happen as the movie goes on. I like movies like that where you don't know what the end result is going to be, and I think this movie does a phenomenal job of doing that, keeping you on the edge of your seat, keeping you closed in on what you think might happen, but actually revealing something completely different to you. And it's just a solidly made movie. It's a very stylistic film. The performances overall are great. J.T. Walsh also is very good in here. I didn't bring him up, but it's a very solid film. This director, John Dahl, has made some pretty good movies, and he actually made another great movie that came out, and that's going to come out this year, called The Last Seduction with Linda Fiorentino, which we'll get to that one. He also did stuff like Rounders, Unforgettable, Joyride, The Great Raid, some notable movies, but this is one of his strongest movies, and it's a very solid film. It's a very well-made film, a very nice-looking thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat. You have no idea what's going to happen, and it's just a solidly made movie. If you haven't seen Red Rock West, highly recommend you check it out. It's one of Nicolas Cage's most underrated movies, and it definitely deserves to be seen. Go ahead and check it out, Red Rock West. Can't recommend this one enough.